Welcome to a new spirit that will warm your heart. Welcome to a new spirit. Every day's a brand new start. Where encouraging words can heal your soul and dreams will be renewed. Welcome to a new spirit, a new spirit in you.
You can't be psychic about yourself. Welcome to the New Spirit Radio Show by the Society of Novus Spiritus, founded by world-renowned spiritual teacher Sylvia Browne. Today's date is 4/20. Why does that ring a bell? 4/20. 4/20 of 2022. Coming to you live from California. Both NorCal and SoCal are your hosts, Reverend Tom Bigley and MIT Catherine Taylor. Playing audio segments we call Messages from Spirit. Why? Answering the ultimate question. Why are we here and what is our purpose?
These segments are recorded trance sessions from Francine, Sylvia's spirit guide. For new people, Sylvia was a full trance medium, which means Sylvia contracted with God to let her and Francine's essences exchange places in Sylvia's body. We think of our body as being similar to a car. One driver gets out and another driver gets in. This allowed Francine to share spiritual knowledge with us directly from the other side.
On occasion, another master teacher and healer, a guide named Rahim, would exchange with Sylvia and present us with spiritual information as well. Francine and Rahim shared directly from sources like the Akashic Records, Mother and Father God, our spirit guides when they were helpful, Christ, and many others.
And meanwhile, during trance, Sylvia would sit on a nice bench on a rose garden on the other side.
And here are our hosts, MIT Catherine Taylor and Reverend Tom Bigley. Oh,
Hey!
The other way. No, it's that way. It's that way.
Yes.
Oh,
Love
that's
it.
a new
Now we're set.
exercise. That's right. It depends. We've moved screens around, so we're like, okay, which one? All right.
It's great. Hi, everyone in chat. It's so good to see you. We've got another cool episode today, so it's exciting to be here.
Well, fun. A brief outline for those of you that are new. We'd like to start out with, how did you use Novus philosophy? And by all means, put them in the comments if you've got something you'd like to share. We'll get into special prayers and a moment of silence. Then we share the trance segments. Then we'll follow up with a meditation and some closing notes. And remind people, hey, please subscribe. The more you subscribe and follow, the more tools that we can provide, like announcing that we're going to be on sometime. We follow up with a novena. We talk about some appreciation, and we end with a prayer by Sylvia. So from that, let's see. How did you use Novus
Yes.
philosophy last
What did I
week?
do now? Something.
Yeah. No,
Love
that's not speaking in tongues. That's tongue not speaking.
I'm not speaking, darn it.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. It was me at work all day yesterday. It's just stuttering from one thought to the next, but that's totally okay. Just view it with loving kindness.
As long as you communicated.
Yes, I just had to say to God, like, just help me find the right words and I will trust whatever process happens. So anyway, what did I use of Novus philosophy this week? You want to do rock, paper, scissors?
Yeah.
Okay.
We can do that one. Okay.
All right. Here we go.
Rock,
Rock,
paper, scissors.
scissors.
Oh, you got it. So
No,
you choose.
I was rock. Tom was scissors. So I guess I can go first today.
Okay.
So I have been trying to do the recommendation that we've received to take 3 walks a week, and they can be short walks. And so I have been diligent about doing, like pretty diligent about doing this, and I'm starting to get into like a routine. I'm like, oh man, I want to go outside today. So that felt good, but something else to up it just a little bit more is I've been stopping. I started doing something Sylvia said, which is to spend a week to notice the trees or to notice the flowers. And so I've been stopping to smell. So stopping to smell the flowers is where I started. So every time I stop, like see someone's pretty garden, I've been stopping to smell the flowers and just to practice noticing that. But then I've gotten a step even farther than that, which is to allow myself to try to do synesthesia and to vibrate try to pick up the vibration of the plants.
Mm-hmm.
And I've just noticed, like, oh, if I'm around a rose, I notice my heart chakra seems to have like a resonance. And today I stopped and I noticed a ginkgo tree, and I noticed that my crown chakra was really having some like resonance or vibration, and I just thought that was really interesting. And then I recalled that ginkgo is something Rahim has recommended for improving memory if you take it in the morning. And I was like, oh, so it does have like this sort of energy to it that is stimulating for the mind. And maybe that's why my crown chakra felt like it was resonating to the vibration of this tree. So this all sounds incredibly woo-woo. I know, but it's just a fun exercise because we've always been encouraged to get a sense of the people that we're around in a room. Like if we have a bad sense from somebody, or if we have a good sense, or it seems like, oh, I don't really know about this person, just to pay attention to that, tune into it, and really try to quote unquote vibrate like to the energy of that other person to see if there's just more information and more like impressions that you get from them. So I've been doing that on my walks with plants and just enjoying the different feeling that nature has. So that's what I've been doing. Yeah. Right. It's just a fun exercise.
It sounds like absorbing as well as interacting energy wise with your surroundings, and specifically plants.
Exactly. Yes.
Our roses in the front of our house have gone off like fireworks. So
wow.
So yeah, we've got these things that are like, this roses that are like this big. Well, you know how big my fist is. There we go.
Yeah.
So they've exploded, and you walk by and there's enough of them there that you walk through the aroma. You don't have to go up to them and smell them.
That's amazing. You need to post some pictures. Share some pictures with us.
All right.
Yes.
We also have these, I think of them as a weed, but they're these, we have two colors. We have yellow and we have purple. The yellow ones look similar to a dandelion, but they're not a dandelion. And they have their like yellow petals. Thank you. The yellow petals. We have a purple one, bright purple, like our screen is purple, but it's super bright. And when the sun comes, at night they go like this, and then when the sun comes out, they do this kind of thing. And they open up so wide. The purple ones open up so wide. I think they're like screaming, "Look at me! Look at me!" That's what they remind me of.
Interesting.
Very
cool.
Let's see. So mine. What are I use?
Yes, please.
I assessed that needing to white light myself more. I went out to a meeting last night to help work with some clients to say, okay, here, give them some ideas and guidance, and do you want to do this, and do you want me to help you, kind of thing. And they were kind, and we had pizza, and we had a fun long conversation. But I remember before I left, I was like, okay, I got to white light myself. And it's something I hadn't thought of in a while to do when I go out, and talk with people. And it made for like a really nice evening of conversation. And I stopped to think, wow, that went really good. And I remember asking, okay, I need to white light myself and have whoever special around to give me ideas to make this, helpful and eh, what's the right word? As well as helpful as possible. And I I recall thinking, oh my God, I white light myself. So afterwards, I thought, I haven't done that in a while. It's like I run out the door, and yes, I know I'm blessed for what I do, but on occasion, I still need to. I can't run out the door and expect that I can do it on my own. I still gotta remind myself I gotta put my coat on before I'm going outside in the freezing cold.
True. Yeah, true.
With the especially with the energy we've got nowadays, that gets
Mhm.
around, the negative energy that's out there. So that's my and learning to let go of, oh, I can do this on my own. Kind of, in the back of my mind, thinking, oh, I don't need to do this kind of stuff, but yeah, I got to do some more of what we've been requested. And I mean, it's you speak of the ginkgo. We have a little tree out front, and we've been meaning to grab leaves off of there, and hopefully it's the right ginkgo that we could make tea out of, and not one that's going to kill us, not knowing what it is.
Time to educate yourself to
Yep.
see.
Yeah. So
Cool.
fun. Has anybody shared in chat what they have used of
Mm,
Novus philosophy?
Not yet, but we strongly encourage you to please share what you have used because it's always so fun reading and sharing. I see somebody whose name I haven't seen before. Within four, hello to you too. Welcome, and I hope that if you have any questions, please post it in chat. We'd love to answer anything and just have a nice conversation. And to everybody else who see Christine, Elizabeth, Linda, Naomi, Janny, Lisa, Ron, so good to see you. Naomi, Melissa, who's our listener in Australia, who um, was responsible for that joke a couple episodes back of saying that the lights were coming to take you away. So
Yeah.
Melissa's here with us. Tremendous sense of humor. We love it. Linda says she has been surrounding myself too with the white light more and just love it. That's fabulous. Um,
Cool. Good to know.
Within asks, does white lighting work just as well when you do it for others?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
So you can be a secret white lighter, and um, you see someone that you think could use it, just, it's like picturing it in your mind, you're throwing out pixie dust, but you're putting white light around them.
Mm-hmm.
Just ask for
Yes,
it.
definitely works. There's a few tools that only work on ourselves, but white light is absolutely ubiquitous. It applies to everybody, so you can always use it on other people and animals and spaces. And Lisa and Jeff, hello to you too. It's great to have you here.
Cool. What
Hmm.
a crowd. All right.
Yeah, it's
Sorry.
great. Love
Sound
it.
like Rodney
Love it. Love
Dangerfield.
it.
What a crowd. What a crowd.
What a crowd. It's great.
Let's see. Special prayers. If want to find out, let's see. Let's take a moment of silence, and we're gonna put energy out. We're all gonna gather and picture all of us together in the same space, vicinity, time. It doesn't matter. We're all gonna put our energy together when you hear this, and ask for special prayers for whether it's for yourself or for others that you know of. You can always put prayers on on the prayer chain on the website. And let's take a moment of silence to visualize what the outcome we would like for those that we've heard of or seen in need. So, amen.
Amen.
And of course, be the prayer. If you see a need, fill it. Well, let's see. We've got
Yvonne is here. Reverend Yvonne is here.
Hey, all right.
Hello. Great to see
Wonderful.
you.
Oh, thank you, Yvonne, for triggering my memory. I only read half of the notes on my that I made.
Oh,
And the reason is let's see, when I said this to somebody about oh, you know what? I think it was last week. That's what the heck it was. We want to promote, Novus Spiritus is promoting minister training.
oh
For those of
yes.
yeah, for those of you that are interested in going through the minister training process and becoming a new Society of Novus Spiritus minister, let's get started. The plan is the training will start. It will be an online program, obviously, probably like a Zoom session kind of program. If you've ever had online webinars, that's going to start in October of 2022. So in October. And the reason we're starting now is in order to be eligible for that, you have to have finished and turned in your novitiate exam and the application. The application's real easy. It's the
Yes.
novitiate exams, the novitiate exam, that has to be completed and turned in. Yes, there will be details in the near future on who, how, where, and what. But that's the important thing to get started. If you have an inkling, start working on your novitiate exam. Where are you going
Yes.
to get your novitiate exam? Well, when you order your Journey of the Soul books, the one that she's holding up, you can ask for your novitiate exam that goes with that book or two. I, let's see. Anyway, when you
And
call the
it's
office, talk to Bob. Email office@novus.org if you want, and say I want my I want my novitiate exam. And by all means, yes, you got to get the if you've got to get the Journey of the Soul books that go with them if you don't have them already. But get on with the test because that's
yes,
going to take you some time.
and the tests aren't hard, they just take time. And
Yep.
so I don't want anyone being like, "Oh no, I wonder if this is something I'm going to fail at." Like don't freak out about this. It just is a matter of learning the material, and it takes time, and it's not meant to like scare you.
The goal is um the goal is to show what you know about Novus philosophy and
Yeah,
what
it's
you've
fun.
garnered from
It's a lot of
the
fun.
Novus material. So the questions are there, and it's a matter of as you're going through, keep the questions in mind, and you're going to go, oh, this was a question from the novitiate exam. Where did I find this? Because it'll be a little bit of commenting on, your thoughts and feelings about what was asked, and I think where you found it. So that get on it if you're interested. That's coming up. So we'll keep talking about it.
Yes.
We eventually a page on the website, the novus.org website, will have more details, who, what, when, where. But get started on your novitiate exam. That's what's going to take time.
Yes. Um, Jeff comments saying it's an open book test. That is correct. It is an open book test. The
That's
Novitiate
right.
exam is an
We're going to
open.
hold the book open in front of you. No, I'm just kidding. Um, yes, it is. We just want you to we will we Novus wants to understand what you've learned about the material. So yeah, open book. Great, glad you asked that, because yeah, we're not going to ask you to send your book back, your Journey of the Soul book back in, and then we give you a test. It doesn't work that
No,
way.
no. It's to celebrate the material, to
Yeah.
celebrate all the good Gnostic information out there.
Okay, cool.
Right.
What do we do next? We usually please keep muted. Oh, well, that's because if you're listening on the conference call for some reason while we're live, you like to listen on a conference call, that number is available. We have callers, several callers that call in and like it, because for some strange reason their streaming doesn't work as well while we are live. So yes, that number is 888-534-2696. I do appreciate when you get on there, or not just myself, but the other listeners appreciate if you keep yourself muted so that it doesn't disrupt other people. So next, what's next? Well, I think it's called
Okay.
Trance segments. Oh,
All right. Okay, so for our first segment, we are listening to the end of a potpourri session. So people are asking a variety of different questions. So we're going to hear in this segment that there's pride in heaven. We hear about Francine and Sylvia's relationship, royal house of David. Paul was 200 years after Christ. Nelda was also someone who helped organize Christ's escape in her past life. That is so cool. The Mists of Avalon was basically true, and Sylvia's past life as Eleanor of Aquitaine was spent with Chris, her son Chris. So we hear about that dynamic as well.
fun. All right. Here. Yep, I'm ready. Here we go.
It's a pride thing for me, let us say, more than even for her. It's a pride thing for me. I've always, and you say, is there pride in my side or in heaven? Of course there is. And that's why I had to study for so many years to be her guide.
That was a difficult one that you picked, and it's interesting.
It was terribly difficult because she didn't like me.
Why wouldn't she like you?
Yeah,
Because she always thought I've limbered. She always thought I was too stiff.
Not jocular.
She thought I was not. She's taught me a lot, as I'm sure I've taught her. But in the beginning, she resented me terribly because she thought I was, and true, I did not have much sense of humor, and I think that was out of fear.
I couldn't too, she was.
Yes, and Sylvia doesn't like that. She thought I was too prim. She thought I was too proper. She thought I was too. She thought I was too much of a feminist, strangely enough.
But we know you're a party girl.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yes.
You talking about this now, revealing this now, isn't that part of the plan to get us all together so that
Of
we can
course.
have the greater power?
Of course. And I think more than anything, like Michael asked, is I cannot discuss who she is. How could I discuss who you are without telling you who she is? Because you're going to eventually.
It all has to fit.
That's right, George. You're so smart. Because if I was going to start out by saying who all of you were from the house of David. But in doing that, I have to describe who she is. Because most of you were her kids. That's what's strange. And if you weren't, you were consorts to, or cousins, or grandchildren of. And most of you were children, or the direct line of the children.
Thank you.
Yes.
Saying all our guides have been feeling the same way you have. That's why they're sending us these messages.
That's right. And all the guys in your letter to her, which we will not discuss because it was private, was factual, and you were getting it.
I'm not crazy. I'm just getting it. The life that I lived.
But you see, people are beginning to get these messages. So I thought, well, I can do one or two things. I can let you walk around and think you're crazy, or I can open it up.
But our guides they are trying so hard. I know my guide moves my straw statuette, and I'll walk by and Rhonda, I know what I'm
Know what you're
doing.
doing, yes.
Yeah, and she's watching me, and she's trying to push me in a direction. Even though she can't communicate, she's going to find a way to get through to me.
Yes. Yes.
Then also you think that it's ego. How could I possibly do this? This has got to be it. You've got to have the hugest ego to be, you're walking around doing things and this comes into your head. I can't be this.
I know.
What am
I
I
know.
thinking?
That's right to think that. But see, you're not. That's infusion. That's different than ego. ego is just out of whack, and we don't keep ego-centered people into this group very long. Notice they drop, they go away. Yes.
There's something very special in knowing this. I think all of us have such a Gnostic drive, and a lot of times we're not really sure why we have it so strong, other than it makes so much sense. But like Georgia says, this is so much of the puzzle that actually fits.
That's right.
Now it makes sense. And now, just in you saying this, I'm sure it's not just me. There's a strength that comes from that.
Absolutely, knowing that you were all children of.
Yeah.
Now, even this young woman who wandered in here today, or came, I shouldn't have used the term, but you also were a granddaughter of. You say, what? Yes. It's not by any accident that you happened into this group just because you had nothing else to do on a Monday night. You were full of curiosity to come and see what the nutty group was about. No. Yes.
Francine, may I have a little bit more information? Did Mary meet Paul as in Taylor Caldwell's book, as it said?
Which book?
Well,
Luke.
Luke. Well, no, but she did talk with Paul also, didn't she? Didn't he come to her? Okay, so.
You mean the Roman centurion, Paul?
No. Wasn't in her time. No.
Okay.
He was long after. That's what we call the...
So that, it was long after.
Oh.
We were all made to think that it's just a short amount of time.
No. Paul came at least 200 to 300 years. See, that's why Sylvia has always ranted and raved about Paul, because he never knew Christ. He didn't know anything about the royal family. They were already escaped. And one of the people that helped them escape, strangely enough, and sometime when we have time, I'll give you each one of your ID, yes. In fact, one of the people that instigated and helped this escape was Nelda. She set the whole thing up.
Still organized.
Still organized. And fearless. And she was small then, and she could get through all the nooks and crannies. And, yes.
And then she did meet with Luke. Is that
Oh,
true?
of course. Absolutely. Okay. Luke, yes, was very close to her. But not Paul, no. That's why Sylvia's so furious with the fact, because she knows she didn't know him.
Now the legend of King Arthur's court and Guinevere is Mary.
Is that true? Oh, yes, of course it's true.
And
in the Mists of Avalon, you bet.
And is Sylvia tied in with that also?
No, she didn't come into that time.
Okay.
No. She was too busy trying to rule countries. And if you notice, every single time, whether it's de Medici or Eleanor, that's when she was married to Chris, and he put her in prison.
Oh.
It was a nice prison.
Because she couldn't quit playing around with the minstrels. And so he put her in a beautiful prison for 20 years. Now, if any of you are privy to the way that he kingly walks around and tells his mother exactly where he's going to put her and how it's going to be, in all lovingness. You see, he bought her the place and stuck her there, so he knows exactly where she is. So the imprisonment still goes on.
So it makes for fun reference to, historically, what we've done in the past.
Mm-hmm. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. What kind of thoughts do you have on what we just listened to?
Just kind of trivia, not trivial, trivia.
Sure, that makes sense.
I wonder if those two get confused. But what came to mind when Francine mentioned about Nelda, I've known Nelda. I don't know, not around now, but it reminded me of Sylvia and Francine has spoken about the arrangement of Christ being taken down from the cross and who helped with sequestering things away. And it reminded me of, I can't remember the name of the person, the from that time. What I do remember is that person was involved with shipping and trade, as well as connections with Scotland at the time. That where the Celts had originated. It seemed like where the Celts had originated from. So that person was involved with that, and I was told that person also was involved with helping, sweep take Christ away out of that territory and move him over to someplace else. So
Interesting.
that's what I'm curious if that's who Nelda was at that time. But we'll have to research
that's
that
interesting.
when we get to the other side.
Yeah. I suppose I'm thinking about my thinking about the things that I've experienced in my current life, and something that Christy Frayne told me in a reading once. I had asked him if he thought that I had lived during the time of Christ, and he said no. And I was like, okay, not a problem. So how I've always kind of viewed my role, because like I never had a chance to like have a conversation with Sylvia in person.
Yeah.
And yet I am 100% just steadily in love with Gnosticism. Like, it's just like, this is just what I'm supposed to be doing. I took Mystic Traveler a vow when I was a kid, as soon as I heard about it. And Christy Frayne said that I was one as well, and whatever. But how I view myself is that my own path is that I view myself as being like the support person who comes in on the side when other things have died down, just to make sure that things keep going, just to make sure that things keep going. So that's how I kind of view myself. And so, and we're also going to hear something in tonight about Joan of Arc, and I've got some thoughts about that too. But I'm just thinking more about my life and my own journey in this episode than I usually do in the past.
Yeah.
I had an experience when I was younger that I best describe to other people who are not Gnostics as saying like, oh yeah, I had a near-death experience, because there's no other way to like communicate the intensity and the reality of being 100% on the other side. Mm-hmm. And so I had an experience like that, but I happened to have been just asleep, but I was on the other side. It wasn't just an astral trip. Like I may as well have fully died. And that's kind of how I view it.
Yeah.
And I was very bitter at the time and did not want to talk about God. And I found myself on the other side in this place that I had never seen before. And this is before I had encountered Gnosticism. And I ended up crying I saw the city that we, like the Hall of Wisdom and the towers. Like I saw those. I saw the waterfall misting down the sides of the towers. I saw it. I saw the sky that had no sun on the perfect colors that are so intense they have no correlation, short of being similar to a sunset. Powerful sunset. So anyway, I saw all of this, and I was bawling my eyes out because I realized that God was real and whatnot, and it was timeless. Like seconds were just beyond my fingertips, and I could have been crying for 20 minutes, could have been an hour, no way to tell. I remember seeing someone who had a turban on. I don't know if it was Rahim. Might have been, might not have been, but there was a telepathic exchange where he like told me, "I wish you well and I have nothing for you." I remember thinking, well, there's an atheist in heaven. That's going to upset somebody if I wake up. And now there's like, a Sikh or a Muslim in heaven. That's going to upset somebody else if I wake up and I have to tell this story. And I saw two people who were like American people like holding hands. They had their shirts tucked in because it was the 90s. And same thing, they gave me like a telepathic message saying, I wish you well and I have nothing for you. And I was like, well, if I wake up again and there's Americans in heaven, that's also going to upset a whole other different sort of people. So, but I was just crying. I was just bawling my eyes out because I was just so heartbroken from some events that had happened in my young life. And I swear to you, upon all that is holy, I heard footsteps approaching me, and I looked down and I saw sandaled feet, man's feet in sandals, with a white robe trimmed with gold. And I look up and I say to myself, Jesus Christ, that's Jesus Christ.
Yes and yes.
Yes. And I was so shocked that I forgot that I was crying, which is an impressive feat. Like, if you're crying, you're bawling your eyes out, and you're just so shocked that you stop crying. Like, that's how shocked I was. He had such a powerful presence. It was just amazing. And he radiated the most approachable person that you could ever imagine. Like, he radiated a friend. Like, he felt like a friend, and he felt approachable, and I could see his aura just kind of vibrating out for miles.
Wow.
It was amazing, beautiful, like purple aura. That was just kind of beyond what I could see, but still I could see it somehow. And he said the exact words to me: I made a promise to you before you came here that I would never leave your side, and I still remember that promise. And I didn't quite understand what it meant, but I started crying again, and I cried probably for another hour or two, and he hugged me. He hugged me the entire time.
Wow.
My young self, and until I realized suddenly that I was healed, and I woke up and I was no longer an atheist. I woke up and like I was no longer like busted and my essence shattered and in grief, and for all this stuff. I was healed, and I had this thought in my mind saying, you remember that woman, Sylvia Browne, that you saw in Montel Williams? You should go to the library. So that was the start of my journey into Gnosticism. But the reason why I'm saying this is because I as amazing as these stories are to know, like, if we were to get a reading with Chris Dufresne and he says, like, yes, you were alive in the time of Jesus, or no, you weren't, it doesn't matter, because on the other side we have a personal connection to our divinity. Everyone has a personal connection. I know it in my bones to Jesus, and it's okay to be listening to this and don't feel like your story isn't important. Your story is important. It's beautiful. It's an amazing story, whatever it is. And just go with your instincts. If you feel like something is coming up about a past life, it's okay. Because on the other side, we all know each other. And Jesus loves you tremendously, 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 tremendously.
Yep.
No question.
Yeah, it's fun. That's a lot of. It's one of those almost like you're atheist when you went to sleep, and it's like, we're gonna show you.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. And there was a moment in there too where I was sitting on the bench in the gardens, and I was struggling to remember how I died, and I was like, I can't remember how I got here. I can't remember. But I felt this. I felt Azna behind me, which I didn't realize until later. I felt this feminine divine presence behind me after I had been allowed to sit there and come to some like terms of processing, saying like, no, this is real. This is real. Like, cool your jets, kid. This is real. So she was letting me just sit there and experience it. And then I was like, okay, no, I'm okay. I'm not an atheist anymore. I'm not I believe in God. I get it. What am I doing here? And I got hit like with all of a sudden with all of the guilt that I'd ever felt in my life. Just like, it was like a rubber band, just like whoop bap. And I felt that, and it was a snap, and I felt it in the back of my head, but it was like I felt a divine feminine presence like right there, responsible for it. So I know that Azna was responsible for that for what we've heard in like months ago. We heard about this. It's called the I forget. But when people go through the tunnel, we're told that their guilt somehow rubber bands, and like you get hit with all sorts of guilt that doesn't necessarily even make sense.
I recall the term for
I
that.
can't remember what it is. Yeah, but that's
Morphic resonance or something, or
no, it was like an accession of guilt. I can't remember.
well, all of a sudden the guilt shows up. But you know what that sounds like? Is at that moment, that's the release.
Yeah,
And
that's what it was. That was where all the pain was that was causing me to be an atheist.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was
And
guilt.
it sounded like, there's a release. There's, okay, I'm not an atheist anymore. And then all of a sudden it's, it sounds like you're saying then there was guilt from something, and all of that went, whatever created that, whatever your mind had created that, all of a sudden that's like gone.
Yeah. I'm super happy to share all that, and I just view it as, again, as like we sometimes are like go off into a desert and it takes a big shove to get us back, and it's okay if you feel like you did not like know Jesus in his present life. We all know Jesus on the other side. It's okay.
Yeah.
Eric asks question. I don't understand how Rahim was on council since he incarnated on Earth. I had the same question for years. Rahim was got asked that about that, and he said that he's the only person on the council who decided to incarnate. So that's interesting.
And it was a trivia. It was trivia that, if I recall properly, that brought that out. There were two people in the trance sessions that followed that and figured out that conclusion, which was made for like fun for us to go, oh, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, I just had a huge
cathartic moment.
Yeah, we'll call it a cathartic moment.
Okay.
Just shall we move to the next segment?
But it's also, as we share, I know we do the best we can to keep things simple. It's just as we share, that's something. It's like going to watch Chris when he does his live. He's, go watch Chris's YouTube and Facebook. I think he's on Facebook. When he's doing live readings for people, answering their questions, there's a lot of life lessons going on. So in that sharing of, there's things that might, oh, that person's having that problem. That sounds something similar to me. Oh, there's the solution for it. So you've had that experience and shared that. Someone may have had something similar, and that's like helping them conclude, oh, I wasn't on drugs. And by the way, even though today's 420, they weren't on drugs. It will give some how do you say, just as you got the mental, how do you say, cleansing from the other side to say, okay, this is I'm seeing, I have had this experience. That's gonna help someone else validate for themselves. That's what I was trying to think of, the word validate. It's going to validate a lot of experiences. So, hearing from, people watching, writing in chat, that's fun to share, because someone's going to resonate to that, and it's going to help validate their experience. We've been so, how do you say, barraged with, it's just your imagination. Yeah, exactly. No, not everything is about imagination. But you've got to validate it for yourself. So we're going to help with validating that as best we can. There's something's going to go woo, and realizations about things come up, and Anyway, spiritual confidence. That's
The spiritual confidence. I love it. I love it.
What do we
Right.
have?
Next, we have, for our second segment, Archangel Raphael. Mary Magdalene had 17 children. You can't be psychic about yourself. Just because you have an important life doesn't mean that you're perfected. Okay.
There you go.
True story.
Don't. What's the word? Don't. Well, never mind. I'll think of it later. Enjoy.
I'd like to point out, for those who were at one of the church services where I was discussing. No, it was at the Jesus Seminar, wasn't it? The Jesus Seminar. Hopefully you were there. Remember the passage I read about Mary as a trance medium?
Yes.
Folks,
Hello.
we have done this very thing
Before.
then.
Right. That should have been.
Now, I don't know who her guide was at the time. Maybe you could tell us. Who was her communicating guide at that point?
Raphael.
Archangel?
But then,
High duty.
but then I recall you also mentioning that she had to be held down in various
Right.
places.
Right.
So those were the
She
early
had to be
days
held.
of trance.
Well,
That's right.
let's just say,
She had to be
not everybody is smooth
Constrained.
trancing.
constrained. But you've got to realize, and I'm certainly not diminishing myself, or like she says to have an ego, but no way in this world do I have the power that Raphael has. So you can imagine a human body trying to handle an archangel. Oh, no wonder they had to hold her down. They had to hold her down. I'm sure, yes, Angelia will have to be held down because the power of Ariel will be so strong. So I'm sure she'll have to be somewhat constrained. And not because they're mean, it's just or awful. It's just because, yes, the strength of the entity, the male entity coming in.
It's 10 pounds of spirit in a 5-pound sack.
You could say it like that. And you usually do. Yes.
Are there any books out that are accurate about Mary's life?
Some of the infancy gospels are
There
good.
was one that I saw, it had a white cover and I can't think of the name of it, but it talked about after his death in this village and she was trying to organize the people and they were fighting and she'd go in there and straighten them out. Were any of those accurate?
But she lived to be very old with him in France and took care of all his children. You know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, there were something like 17 children that actually came from that union of Magdalene.
Or a man.
But there aren't any books out.
No, because nobody knows that much about her life, and since they've almost deified her, which is ridiculous, is they don't want to. Maybe it's the same thing that keeps everybody from asking anybody anything about her.
I vote.
Well, see if they
terminate.
have any more questions before you.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do. Yes.
Is there any more direction about where we as a group might be headed when we leave this area?
Wait till some more money comes in, and then we'll discuss that. You're all headed for the Southwest, and I think you're all getting a little bit antsy, but be patient. I think you've got a lot of field to till here yet. See, this is really your training ground. As I told Sylvia many years ago, if you can crack this Silicon Valley, there's nowhere that you can. She always thought that New York was going to be tough.
They blossom.
New York may erect a statue to her. They're so in love with her. Well, any of you that have been on the phone know that. Yes, Sam.
Francine, I've always been curious when I hear Sylvia say she's not psychic about herself. Can you enlighten me at all about that?
I think that what she says, and I like her expression, she says there's no free lunch for anyone. I think what she's trying to say, sure she has feelings, And I'm not too sure she can't read minds at times because I've seen her do it. I think she'd argue with me about that, but I think any of you that have been around her. But not the big things. If that were the case, she would have married perfectly all the time. She would have had. She would have won the lotto. See, these are the things we need to think of. If she loses something, it's usually lost. If she knows there's something underfoot in her family, she's not the first one to pick it up, no, because she's too close to it.
Let me add to this. I've watched her also. What she lacks is not that she has a notion and a hunch and all that stuff about something going on. What she lacks is the conviction that it's not just her. And the difference is she won't fully empower herself to act on this stuff when it's close to home, because she worries that Sylvia, the person, is locked into the mix and therefore taints it. But she gets the stuff, she gets the inkling, she gets uneasy about it, but she doesn't have that one step necessary, and I call it, her humanitarian flaw.
No, it's not her flaw, it's her learning.
Well, that's it. That's right.
She has to learn the same as everyone else. She's going for the same
butt.
Perfection as everyone else.
Yeah, she gets
Just
more.
because of who she was certainly doesn't mean she was perfected. See, that's where you have to get the right slant on this. It's the constant perfection of, if everyone was psychic about themselves, they would have perfect lives, they wouldn't have to be down here.
Well, realizing that we've all done this before and we've been in the same situation, even though our relationships have changed, does our role in that schematic stay the same until we complete it?
Yes.
So we're actually working, even though our knowledge may be evolved and the whole thing is evolved, we're still each on a single...
That's right. And not only that, but the interconnections of some of the people in this room that you've been married to, that have been your own children, because being the direct lineage, you'd have to keep coming back in, don't you see, to the same family line. So when we say, as so many religions have said, family, you really are the truest of family, with only having to come and eat sometimes at the table together. That's about all the respect you need to give. You only have to sit down. It's certainly not like, who was the person who's never, by the way, come through our right door in Waco? So I never got to see him.
Correct.
No, he went into the left. But and so did Jim Jones. So those people are really, I guess if you want to call any human demonic, walking around, professing, and keeping what he called the Christian family together. That's run. Run when you hear that. Run. Yes.
There's one who walks close with Sylvia in this life, and what other lives has she walked with her?
Excuse me?
In a lot of them, I know what he's saying. In a lot of them, at least maybe.
In what names?
10. Sister, friend, companion, mother, many.
Thank you.
Oh, so the wording and the phrase I was thinking of earlier, talking about the a special person being here, they still what is it? They're not perfected. If you're here, you've got something to perfect. Oh, watch out for the cat! Watch out for the cat! Sorry. It was specialness of self.
Specialness of self.
Yeah. So watch for when you feel you've advanced. Watch out for the specialness of self. You get so confident you think, oh, I'm done, and oh, I can do, and it's I have to remind myself of wait a minute, slow down. We know this is when I feel there's some advancement going on, I got to remind myself to, like, okay, watch out for carrying things too far, and in the specialness of self, think you're better than, and no, we're still learning. We're still here. We're still learning.
Yes, still learning, still here, still have cats sticking their butts in our faces because that's what's happening right now. It's a simple thing.
As long as the static electricity doesn't wipe out the chips in the computer, you're okay.
Okay, that's a good point. That's a good point. Oh man. Yeah, no, it's interesting. Specialness of self. I think it's a really interesting I think it's a really interesting area of growth to learn to balance like what a healthy ego is supposed to look like with healthy pride without having false humility and like there's all these like little nuances that go into it. And I know that for the past, I don't know, probably 10 years of trying to work on having a healthy ego and jettisoning unhealthy parts and getting rid of bad pride. And it's been a really, really happy, positive experience overall of like once I get to a new place where I'm just like, oh, you know what? I feel a healthy amount of pride over this one thing and I don't feel jealousy and I can have a conversation about this person who is involved in some really, really high level things and I'm not feeling some sort of way and I just feel myself and I just feel centered and balanced and thank you God, this is such a great and freeing place to be. Yeah. So yeah, I always think that's interesting, but yeah, people get specialness itself when you get a little bit too, when someone is a little bit too special about, a little too exclusionary. It's scary.
What are we going to hear about next?
What are we going to hear about next? We are going to hear about Azna looks like golden sparkles. Interesting. Was Sylvia Joan of Arc? ? Sylvia's healthy mindset. The quote, "Go turn water into wine" was a joke. Joseph Campbell's past life with Jesus.
Cool. All right.
Very cool.
Take notes.
Francine, was Azna pleased with the service?
Yes.
And
you know Azna was there. You know she was there as big as life. I don't know how many, but she was standing to the left of Larry and to the right of Sylvia when she went up. And if any of you, and I don't want to program, if any of you are beginning, because she will materialize slowly, the golden sparkles that you keep blinking out that you're seeing, that's her.
And you said by the end of this summer, our church, we would be bursting, and we burst yesterday.
You burst yesterday. You had 110 people bursting.
The energy was wonderful.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
You can see gold across the whole back.
Yes, that's right. Just gold. Yes. So don't think you're having ego funny sight. You're seeing the real thing.
Even when we're not there, the sprinkles.
Oh, of course it will. You bet. It'll come to your house. It'll come to your apartment. See, wherever you are, Gnostics, it tracks you. In a good way.
Did Mary have as difficult a life with the trials as Sylvia has in this life?
No, I don't think there's been any. Well, Hasaphat wasn't but no, I don't know of any life that I've tracked on Sylvia that's been any harder than this one. None. No. She really bit it off this time. Yes.
Was she Joan of Arc?
We don't know.
Oh, okay.
When will it get easier for her that she...
About 30 years.
No.
You know the strange thing, let's just say this, and then she's going to... I think you should not ever let her have this tape.
No.
The strangest thing about Sylvia that we've all remarked at, as bad as it's ever gotten for her, I'm not sure she knows it. Now, we can look at this in two ways. Is she certainly not the happy idiot that you are, Michael? But
No, you don't understand that.
No, it's a private joke between Sylvia and you. No.
Go ahead.
But in many ways, Michael, she's like you. Not on the level of your extreme throwing things off. But look at her. You've been working with her. Through the greatest adversity, look, she jokes. Sure, she gets tired. But who could keep on with her having her name defamed, by being pulled through court systems, by being a husband who ripped her off and bankrupted her, by having her family turn against her and use her, and then deaths and dying, and yet the sense of humor never stops.
So actually,
I just admire the fact of how she bounces.
So actually, these are really better times.
Absolutely, because you see, it's all in the viewing of the person.
Yes.
She doesn't view it. I mean, sure, she gripes to Pam sometimes about how crazy the people are sometimes that she talks to, and or that she's cranky or whatever, but that's human.
Can I add one thing about probably the strongest expression of despair I ever hear is simply this. She goes, Larry, sometimes I feel trapped.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I'd have a lot more to say about what's gone on in her life if it happened to me than just simply trapped. But I mean, that probably is the strongest statement of despair, and that's like nothing compared to what her reality's been versus how she perceives it. Very good outlook.
Yes. It's healthy.
Healthy outlook. She's very
and
healthy.
then it goes away.
I think that any of you that know her have got to realize, and I will say this, aside from anything else of what her lineage is, I don't know of anyone that I've ever known, and our guides all agree, that has any greater, healthier mind than she does. She has the ability. She has a healthy mind like I've never seen. She has stability like I've never seen. And that's soul. She, the stamina and the soul that operates. And that's because the love of her son, the love of God, that's what keeps her going. That's always been strong in the Lord. Exactly. Yes.
Did Mary have this sense of humor that she has?
Oh, tremendous.
Oh, yeah.
Tremendous, yes. I think you see that at the wedding feast of Cana.
Yeah.
Go over there and change that water into wine. I think that was a joke. That really was a joke.
Think you're so hot, go change that into
You think you're so smart, go do something. Took the wind out of him. Yes.
Francine, for clarification on Joseph Campbell, was he Mary's husband and Christ's father?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Both.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
Can you clarify for me a question I had for you on the personal reading? I just wanted to clarify that this person is not somebody from the group.
No, wasn't.
Thank you.
Worried you, didn't it?
Yeah, and he worried all of us with it too.
When Sylvia was hesitant, that lifetime was very exciting, troublesome, excruciating, painful also. And seems to be so high, such a high lifetime in so many ways, and yet such bad things happen. Compared to this lifetime, differences maybe because she's been worn down so much over the years because of the lifetime she's had. Because that life certainly has seemed to be a very heavy-duty one.
Yes.
Same perpetrators of the bad.
Perpetrators, though, came back again.
Same
Perpetrators
ones
came back. And they're, again, addressing Sam, not too smart about her own life. Not too smart about delineating who is wrong for her, who isn't. But she wouldn't be who she was if she walked around being paranoid about everybody who was going to be mean or hateful to her. So she doesn't have much warning signal until after she's in it, because the humanitarian rushes in first and then gets clobbered later. All right, my dear hearts,
Yay.
all family and all brothers and sisters, and some of you lovers to each other. You don't have to duplicate that, however, in this lifetime, but if you so choose, I wouldn't mind it either. God bless you, and Raheem will see you next week.
Say hi to Ralph for us.
He'll see you next week.
Raphael.
Raheem.
Yes. We will see Raphael.
Yes, Raphael was.
Can I get him to go? Or what?
Watch the fingers.
Larry and his jokes and
Yeah.
and sometimes don't catch on. But anyway, that's part
Yeah.
of the hysterics. Sometimes keeps our levity up.
Yes.
Reminding of oh, so somebody, I didn't see who, I just was catching some of the notes. Somebody said, run when you hear what? Well, when you hear somebody say, I know the truth, and I am a deity, and I am a all-knowing, and and they're in human form, that's who you run away from. There's a interesting article on what is it, Vice News, if you like to follow online, as well as some channel information. They had an interesting expose on past and current, what do you call them? Man, words are just failing me here. Cults, thank you. That's the one.
Ooh, yes.
So, yeah, it's referencing cults when people are saying that I know, I know, and you follow me and I'll tell you the truth, and they're just getting you to listen to them and not follow your own truth and learn about yourself. And so anyway, interesting. That's what that's referencing. And,
Yes.
we have Francine and Raheem have spoken about these issues in some of the other trances. So.
Mhm. And just as a reminder, the definition of a cult is someone who exerts a whole lot of control, and they really kind of constrict the amount of information that you're allowed to have. Like, you have to be a certain level, and then you are allowed to have this information or that information,
Or none.
or no information. Or you have to do everything that the leader says, and you have to give away all of your. You have to give away the control of your life to this other person. And so it's extremely controlling atmosphere. And Novus is the exact opposite of that, because everything is just, Gnosticism is just offering information and celebrating learning and celebrating being together and celebrating our own individuality and your individuality and hearing about your unique path and this person's unique path and saying, like, oh yeah, if that makes sense to you, you do you, boo. Like, it's a celebration of our own uniqueness. And so
Seek after your own truth.
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm.
Oh, and what is it? Another fun trivia note I recall we have learned through Trance somewhere in the near past or near future. Joseph Campbell, being Joseph, Christ's father in that time, was also a scholar at that time in Christ, when as Christ's father, which I thought was, yeah. So the entity we know of as Joseph Campbell has been studying a long time and gathering helpful information.
Yes, he was Plato too, we've been told. So he's
forgotten that. Okay.
Yes, he was Plato. Tremendous scholar, tremendous virtuoso of knowledge.
Okie dokie, where are we on? Oh, and so that was the end of that trance session.
Yes.
And so we will be continuing on with another one. And yes, just as you heard, Raheem will be on next week, because that's where
I haven't heard him in a long time.
Long time, yes.
Exciting. Cool.
So it'll be fun to hear. Fun. So we're supposed to do a meditation. So for
All
those
right.
of you that want to participate, we encourage you to sit with your feet flat on the floor and your palms upward on your lap to encourage that receiving grace. And for those of you that need to pay attention to what you're doing, don't pay attention to us, but by all means come back and listen to these wonderful meditations in the on-demand, if you can scroll to them. And for those of us, I got to figure out where I put everything here. We've got that one. I think that one should work. All right. So prepare yourself and enjoy. Find a nice place to sit upright, whether it's on a chair or a favorite place, with your feet flat on the floor and your hands upward on your thighs. Now, take 3 deep breaths to start relaxing the mind and body. And now close your eyes when you're ready.
This is called the gold and purple lights of the divine. Nothing disturbs you. Nothing bothers you. Feel yourself go into a tiny room. Small, but not closed off. Sit on the floor of this room inside yourself and feel the presence of the divine. After all, you are a spark of the divine. This feeling begins to push upward, and the whole room is filled with light that radiates through every part of your physical being, which is nothing more than a faulty vehicle at best, but it houses your spirit, so you will keep it running as best you can for as long as possible. Let that light rinse out all your problems with finances, children, in-laws, living situations, fear of the unknown, or even the fear of being hurt. Rinse away all phobic terrors. And in this room, begin now to bring in, one at a time, those whom you wish to protect. Bring in those who needed betterment in their lives, and those whom you wish to heal. Let that light bathe the sick, the ill, or just people you want to protect or remember. Bathe them in shafts of gold and purple light. All are illuminated. Feel yourself to be omnipresent and feel the truth that lies within your own heart, your Christ center, your Gnosticism. All the ravages of fear, antagonism, and revenge begin to drop away. Nothing will hurt you.
And now, on the count of 3, bring yourself all the way up. 1, 2, 3. Fully alert. Find a nice place.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's rejuvenating. Oh my goodness.
Your own room in the center of yourself. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
That's almost it. Not that it was the same impact that you had, but it's like that's the kind of thing of similar to you going to sleep and having that exposure on the other side, like you were talking about the experience. And for me, it's validating of, oh my goodness, oh yeah, I haven't had this energy around me in a while.
Awesome. Awesome.
Let's see. If you have any questions about what we shared, feel free to post in chat or email us questions to cat@novus.org. We appreciate the listeners, both live and on demand. Show your appreciation to New Spirit Radio by sharing, promoting, liking, and subscribing us. It'll give us some more capabilities so we can offer more
please.
help
Hit
with
subscribe.
for you. Let's see. Check out our websites, novus.org, sylviabrowne.com, chrisrightnow.com. Yes, we are on Facebook for Society of Novus Spiritus, Sylvia Browne Group, New Spirit Radio, and a variety of Novus Spiritus study groups. Yes, you can find us on YouTube, Society of Novus Spiritus, and Chris's YouTube is Psychic Awareness. And man, raise your hand if you've seen Sylvia's Easter prayer. I posted that up on our YouTube. We've had like almost 500 views since Sunday. I'm like, hello, cool. It was posted up on Chris's site as well, so I haven't seen what they got. But man, that was a big response that I wasn't expecting. So cool, great. Glad people are taking a peek at that. And study groups. If you want to start a study group, you'll get something. You can donate and get something in return. You'll learn about our philosophy, and we publish a monthly Sunday service CD. Thank you, and a newsletter. And if you want to get something and make a donation, go to Amazon Smile and say you want to donate to Society of Novus Spiritus. Let's see, Sunday services. Yes, I just recently posted one on Facebook and YouTube. That's a fun place to go watch. If you want to participate in a special Zoom service where there's live people talking back and forth, put your email in the website and you'll get a notice when that is published, or you'll be invited to. Now for the novena. For everyone that wants to participate, I'm going to say a phrase. You're all going to say it with me at the same time, and then we're going to ask for things, and I'll just lead us through all of this. The phrase is, I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. And we're going to say this together 3 times, and then I'll talk after each one. I'll tell you what we'll be asking for. No, visualize all of us together. We're all holding hands. We're all in the same space. Doesn't matter when you're listening to this. We're doing this live at the moment, but when you're listening to this, we're all connected together. So say it out loud where you're at. So here we go. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. Now, ask for things for yourself. Okay, next round. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. Now ask for things for others. Okay, and the last one. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. Now, picture our light going out like a beacon for others that are seeking this spiritual knowledge. Wow, it's time for appreciation. So show your appreciation to Francine and Raheem for researching all of this wonderful knowledge, Sylvia for coming to this insane asylum of the universe to start this movement, and for showing us how to get some peace of mind and grace while we're here. Of course, Azna for helping us and protecting us. Father God for providing the most prestigious school for us to experience, learn, and satisfy our unique spark of curiosity. Bob Ingold for helping with audio and graphics. Sammy and Javon for the intro-outro music. For the show, writing, setup, and hosting is MIT Catherine Taylor. Editing, technical direction, and hosting is Reverend Tom Bigley. Now, I'm supposed to have a prayer for Sylvia. Somewhere in the night. Let's see. If I can. Oh, there we go. That's what I'm supposed to do. Cool. All right, here we go. Here's a prayer from Sylvia. Enjoy.
Prayer for purification and renewal. Dearest God, surround me with the white light of the Holy Spirit. Let me feel your quiet peace, Mother and Father, invading my heart, mind and soul, and the Christ consciousness, pulled into my very being. May I feel the light emanating from me into the heart of every other person. My life, like a highway in which I am traveling, can seem so cluttered with all kinds of flotsam and jetsam in all my past lives and even with what I'm going through in this life. But with my strength, my symbol, a light, a sword, or my totem, let me sweep that pathway clean, feeling that everything in my life is clear-cut and straightforward. Nothing can impede my growth. I ask for my needs to be met, but more important and above all, for my spiritual growth and for my soul to magnify the Lord. I ask for it to stretch my wings inside and embrace my truth, my vision, and my belief. May I look back down the highway and may it now be clean. Ahead of me may be clutter, but strengthen me, dear Lord, against illness, against adversity, against any programming that may come from outside of myself, so that I may walk with courage. May I feel myself being healed from all wounds that are slung at me, like the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune that hit. I am impervious to all because I walk with my hand in God's, truly unfettered, clear in mind and body, pure and loving in motive and devout in soul. I ask this in the name of the Mother, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
And Kat's going to tell us.
We love you so much. And we'll see you next week. Good night.
For so long we have ignored you, as if you were not there. All praise went to the Father. We were so unaware that through the years, you've shed your tears for all the pain we bear. Oh, Azna, how we love you. Place no one above you. Always thinking of you. Bless your name. You are Mother God. You've planted every blade of grass, creator of the stars. And when I'm feeling down and out, you mend my broken heart. So now I sing this song of thanks because of who you are. Oh, Azna, how we love you. Place no one above you. Always thinking of you. Bless your name. You are Mother God. You're more than a friend to me.